that's why we went to this, chef to be our curator.
Right.
Was to target specifically. I didn't want not any offense to anybody that has a barbecue place, but I didn't want some no-name barbecue place to be in my. That's just not who we were. So we needed to bring in some really high-quality chefs that were willing to step outside of Buckhead or out of Midtown. And ironically, the whole COVID situation and unrest in town has actually created an environment for people to say, you know what? Maybe we ought to get out of town and go out to where our customers are, because the customers who drove in from Alpharetta or Milton or Roswell are now more staying home. Their office is at their home, so they're not coming to Midtown and then going to dinner with their clients. They're meeting their clients, if they do, outside, close to their house.
Right.
And we've really seen quite a number of like really high-end restaurateurs and chefs that we're going to see out there. In fact, a guy who has been, a nightclub owner, bar owner, really kind of infamous guy, Billy Allen, is relocating. He's selling his business and relocating his jazz club.
Wow.
And it's like there's never been a live venue like that in the suburbs.
Yeah.
Certainly not in Milton. And it's going to be really, it's going to be a real draw because he brings real live music, not just the guy strumming some guitars with some monotone voice. I've seen a couple of his bands that he
And they're good.
puts out, and they're really good.
Wow. When is that supposed to happen?
I hope we're going to open up, see him open up in December or January.
Oh wow, that's pretty soon.
Yeah, the building's nearly complete, and I'm
Okay.
just waiting for him to get his permits for his bar.
Are you involved in that, or you just know him?
He was actually one of the friends of Philippe, and Philippe sold him the vision, and then he came out and met with us, and I sold him the vision. Now he's an evangelist for me.
There you go.
He's telling all his friends,
Yeah.
you got to come out and see this really cool project in Milton.
Yeah.
This is where it's happening.
Yeah.
So, truthfully, that's how Buckhead happened. Buckhead wasn't a cool place. It was a place you went hunting, and then it became a cool place to be. And I think it still is, obviously, but
Sure.
I think that small towns are now reestablishing themselves and their identity, but it's an identity that's different from the one that, the 1950s version of Alpharetta or there was no Milton, but
Right.
the identities back then were just small towns, were little small businesses and retail. Now they become these destinations for really cool restaurants and art galleries and antiques and
Sure.
and now more nightclub type stuff.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I think it's a quirky version of a 1950s town.
Yeah.
And I think that's really going to start playing in Atlanta, because I think people, when I grew up, people asked you, where are you from? I said Roswell. And in the 90s, early 2000s, people had asked you the same question. You said, well, I'm from Atlanta, because that's something that people knew.
Yeah.
And now I'm back to, I live in Alpharetta. My business is in Milton. I'm doing work in Woodstock.
Yeah.
And that's more of an identity.
Sure.
And that identity has kind of reestablished itself because Atlanta just became too big and ubiquitous.
Sure.
Just you got downtown, Buckhead, Midtown, and then everything else was just this blob of suburbia.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I think now you see that reestablish itself just bit by bit. And it's really kind of cool because those little towns can recreate what people were looking for in Midtown and Buckhead.